Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nithin Ramachandra from the Nithin Sports Rush Show, back with another special episode. Happy Tuesday, November 18th. We're almost at Thanksgiving break, which is crazy to think about. This year is flying by, man, but all I can do is keep working hard and we got to keep things going. So we're back with the special episode, and I am joined by Sly Williams. He's a Super Bowl champion from the Denver Broncos. He also played for the bunch of other teams: Tennessee Titans, Detroit Lions, Dolphins, Saints, Chargers, and back to the Broncos for a second stint. He had a great career. One of the, in my opinion, underrated defensive ends to play in the NFL. He played with some great players on the Super Bowl 50 team with the Denver Broncos. That's obviously Peyton Manning, who led the team, and also they beat the Panthers that year in the Super Bowl. So I can't wait to get into all of this, his story, journey, winning the Super Bowl. And I know some of his teammates already that played with him on the Denver Broncos, which we'll get to. But Sylvester, man, he is a well-respected man in the NFL. Everybody loves him. He's doing great things off the field after his career. He's coaching his son. He coaches other kids. He's a motivational speaker. He's trying to help out other athletes also in the NFL and all sports, trying to become where he was. But Sylvester, thank you for joining. Super Bowl champion once again, and welcome to the family. And thank you again. How are you and your family doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. Like you said, it's a great Tuesday, man. Really excited to be on your podcast, man, and really spill some knowledge. And like you said, got a lot of dope things going on, so I'm excited about that. I think what I'm most excited about is, being down in Denver for the Super Bowl reunion and seeing a lot of my teammates, man. They got a lot of dope stuff going on, and everybody seems to be thriving post-football. So I'm excited about that as well. And, yeah, a lot of dope stuff going on, man. A very bright future that I'm excited about. My Broncos are doing really well, so I'm excited about that. You got to get my Tar Heels there.
Yeah, and we'll get to the Tar Heels too. And obviously, it's always great to see former players doing stuff, continuing their after the career, being involved in the same sport, and that's for you, and they go for you and other athletes. And before we get to your career, I just want to talk about, obviously, the NFL is going through a lot right now with with the recent news and with Marshawn Nealon, and I just want to get your take on that. And rest in peace, Marshawn Nealon and the Cowboys. They played some great football yesterday, and they won the game for him. But I just want to get your take on mental health here, because there's a big topic. And have you had any instances with a teammate or in the same situation that happened here recently?
That's a very unfortunate situation, man, and I really take my hat off to the family and the organization, because that's a tough loss right there.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes the battles we face in life, man, is way bigger than the ones we face in football, right? You lose a game and you can wake up the next day, and give it another shot, man. When you lose your life, like that's the end. So I feel bad for the organization. I feel bad for the family. I'm praying for them. And, I just hope that, I think it's tough being an athlete, and it's tough being a man.
Yeah.
I see it all the time, and that's one of the reasons why I'm really passionate about helping men, because, I've lost teammates over the years. I've lost college teammates due to suicide. And it's just one of those situations where we never truly understand why, and you just look at it and say, why did life get that hard? And, I think some of the battles that some of us face is a lot harder than what the world may see.
Yeah.
And I think we live in this reality where it's like people just tell you, man, be stronger, right? And I don't think that's, the way it should be. I think that people should provide more support, more help. Some more leadership should be around. And I think, we talk about it all the time. It's like you ask one of your buddies, man, how you doing? And it's like, oh, man, I'm good, bro. Life, whatever the situation may be. But I think we need to get more in depth with these conversations and really figure out like what's going on, like, man, because being a man and especially being an athlete, tough battle, man.
Yeah, well said. We'll definitely talk about your teammate Demaryius Thomas. Rest in peace. Underrated receiver, in my opinion. I love watching him play throughout his career. But I want to get to your career. How did you get started playing football? And like you said, you went to North Carolina, one of the great colleges in sport, in college football and college basketball. They're known for the basketball too. But when did you get into playing football?
And so what I tell people is, man, I actually didn't start playing football till my senior year. See, I got a very unique background.
Yeah.
on kind of what led me to the NFL. And I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. I was raised by a single father.
Mhm.
My mother walked out of my life early on due to drug abuse and, being in the streets, and left my father to raise 4 kids by himself off a $2,000 a month salary. And then you got this early 2000, so it wasn't much money, especially when you talk about add 4 kids to the equation. And so my father was a very hard worker, an extremely disciplinary guy. Like, so if I did something wrong, he would always use discipline first, right? But at the time, I didn't really understand. And so as I started to get older and I was held back in the first grade, I was kicked out of school in the 8th grade because I got into too many fights. And my father had a relapse around the same time. So I kind of started to make some poor decisions. He had a relapse, kicked me out of school. And my sister went to college about 2 hours away. And she came down and got us and we moved up there. And it was a culture shock for me at the beginning, but it allowed me to see kids that were not necessarily in poverty, right? Because in St. Louis, it was pretty much all poverty. When I got to Jefferson City, kids were doing a little bit better. And so I got back on the right track a little bit, tried to play basketball my freshman year, got kicked off the team in January due to grades, came back my sophomore year, same thing, got kicked off in January due to grades, and then ultimately kicked out of school as a sophomore because I was really working too many hours at my job, trying to provide for myself. And that was the point in my life where I had to make a decision. And I tell people all the time is I didn't become a champion in 2015 when I hosted the Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah.
I became a champion at that moment in my life because I had to make a decision I was given 2 options, GED or alternative school. I created a third option for myself, which was to re-enroll back into that same school and pursue getting a high school diploma the right way, which is the promise that I made to my father.
Mhm.
So once I went back my junior year, I'm on the right track. And toward the end of the school year, I ran into one of the football coaches leaving class. And he approached me about, playing ball. He said, "You're a big guy, give it a try." And I'm like, "Oh man, I'm a basketball player." He said, "Well, just give it a try." And I went down, fell in love with the brotherhood, the leadership, the camaraderie they built for me. And wasn't that good of a player at all, man. If I'm being honest, it was a really bad player. I started one game, which was senior day.
Oh.
And that football for me at that time was just something I did to keep me in school, to keep me motivated. So then I went into basketball, and upon graduation from high school, I got a job at a radiator factory.
Mhm.
And I worked there for about 6 months. And I made a decision that I came up with a crazy idea that I'm gonna go to college, right? Having never succeeded in school, I came up with this idea that I was gonna pursue college and try to make that a reality for me. And a mentor of mine talked about playing football to pay for some of the school. And at the time, I was hesitant because I wasn't a good football player in high school. But at the same time, I also knew that I was a hard worker, right? I
Yeah.
got that from my father. And so I started sending out a bunch of tape. Nobody called back, of course. And I had to make a decision. And I packed up everything I had in the car. And I chose to walk on to the community college in Kansas called Coffeyville. I drove 6 hours and I asked for the opportunity. And the coach gave me that opportunity, which I'm extremely thankful for. And I started there at the bottom of the depth chart, man, and I carried the mentality that I wasn't going to be outworked. And what I noticed was when I got to that junior college it was a bunch of high school All-Americans that was either Division I kickbacks or they didn't have the grades to go right to the Power 5 level. And they wasn't showing up every day giving 100%. They was giving 50, 60, 70%. And so I knew that I could close the gap by just showing up every day giving 100%, 110%, studying the game of football. And by the beginning of the season, I was a starting defensive tackle. 2 years later, I was a junior college All-American,
Wow.
offers to go anywhere in the country. And of course, I chose the beautiful University of North Carolina.
What a story! And how tough. Obviously, we family is really important when it comes to sports. And how tough was it to see your father going through all that and in a tough situation with all the relapsing? And obviously, you had three older sisters and one younger brother. So just talk about the support system that you had throughout your career, and obviously seeing the tough thing, seeing about your father also.
Now, I think the biggest thing about, as I became a man, I started to understand why my father
Yeah.
carried as much pressure as he did. Because when I was a kid, and I told this story before, I would always see my father, whenever he would get the mail, first it always take him days to open up the mail. And when he would finally open it up, like as he would open it up, I would just see him look at the mail and he would just drop his head sometimes. And you know, at the time I'm a kid. So I'm thinking, you know, it's normal. And as I started to get older, we went through a foreclosure and all these different things, I realized that the battle that he was facing, we talk about being the man, the battle that he was facing was a lot tougher than he can handle. And it caused us to lose our home and it caused him to fall into the streets, you know. But what I respected about my father the most is he went through that situation, got hooked on some drugs, and literally within 6 months, he was in rehab fighting to get back in his kid's life, right? And you know, that showed me a lot about who he was. And not only did he come back into our lives, once he realized that Jefferson City, Missouri was a better fit for us versus St. Louis, instead of him bringing us back to St. Louis, he literally moved his whole life to Jeff City. And so my father would literally, Monday, he would go to St. Louis, work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. When he got off Friday, he would drive to Jefferson City, spend the weekend with us. He had a place in Jefferson City for us that we lived at, because by this time we was old enough to, you know, take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
So he would come over the weekend. He would spend all of his breaks there, and he would get laid off and spend time there. And eventually he just moved there full time. And, you know, just seeing him do that, and one of my most proudest moments, I guess, for me in my entire life was being able to get drafted. Because right around the time I was getting drafted, while I was in college, my father started to have some health issues. And them health issues allowed him to not be able to work anymore. And when I got drafted, man, the first thing I told him was, hey, man, you don't got to worry no more, you know. And I didn't know how much time he had left. He ended up passing in 2017. But from 13 to 17, man, I made sure that he was able to live his life the way he wanted and be at peace. And so that meant a lot to me. I was very close with my brother and my sister. He taught us about being close. And man, I was able to, you know, create a new path for my entire generation. You know, everybody that was close to me is doing better than what they would be doing had I not made the decision that I made.
Wow, and obviously, sorry for your loss there. And your father made a big impact in the world, and obviously, he got to see you win the Super Bowl with the Broncos, and that was the main thing too. And we'll dedicate this show to your father and your brother and your sisters. So too. So this that what a story, man. This is really inspiring. That what I'm hearing right now. And I wanted to talk to you about your high school. You played only one season of high school football, and what did you learn throughout that 1 year for you to be able to obviously get the opportunity in community college? But what did you learn in that 1 year of high school football?
I mean, I think, you know, sports, I feel like if you can play sports at any level, and I always say this to people, if you can play the game of football, baseball, hockey, whatever it is, the discipline, you know, the leadership, the work ethic, the commitment that it takes to be an athlete, you can be successful at anything.
Yeah.
And although I wasn't good in high school, I learned that because you think about it, it's a commitment. Every single day you got to show up. You know, you got to be up at 5, 6 in the morning to go work out in the morning, go to school all day, then you practice after school. And so what I learned is, and what football has taught me about life, and that's why I created the mentality of champ: commitment, honesty, accountability, mindset, and persistence. If you look at the game of football or just sports in general, in order to win, you got to be committed. You got to be honest, right? And we talk about you got to be able to look yourself in the mirror and understand areas that you can improve on. See, when I got to college, that's what really helped me. I knew that I had athletic ability. I knew that I had size. And I knew that I was, you know, mentally I can get to where I wanted to get to. But I had to be honest with myself. You never played this game before. So the only way you're going to be able to compete with guys that have done this their whole lives is you got to understand what are your weaknesses, right? And how do I turn those weaknesses into some of my strong points? So what did I do? I went heavy on film. So I studied film 3, 4, 5 hours every single day because I wanted to build myself up mentally. You know, when things didn't go my way, I was accountable. I had the right mindset because I truly believed that I deserved what I was chasing, and I never gave up. And I learned that in college because when I got onto the field and you talk about having injuries, you talk about losing games, you talk about being yelled at by the coach, everybody don't handle those things the right way. And so when you don't handle those things the right way and you don't have the emotional, I guess, the emotional intelligence to be able to say, you know what, there's a certain way I should react in this situation that's going to better make this situation better for me. And it's a lot of athletes that don't have that. But if you look at those athletes, they also struggle in life.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the beauty about sports is like, man, if you can play sports at any level and be committed to that and see it through, you can win at anything in life.
Wow. Yeah. And did you in high did you get to play multiple positions, or did they put you on defense right away?
So I started off as a right tackle.
Okay, right tackle. Good.
So originally this was offensive right tackle, but I couldn't remember the plays.
Oh. Oh.
So that's what I struggled with. I had the physicality part, but I couldn't remember the plays. And so by me not knowing the plays, they said, okay, well, it's easier to just put him at defensive line because all he got to do is go straight. And so it was just offensive line and defensive line was the only two positions I ever played.
Wow. Yeah. So while you were at community college and obviously getting recruited by North Carolina, was there any other colleges that were interested, or? But what was it like to have North Carolina be interested in you to continue the college career?
So after my first year at Coffeyville,
Yeah.
I remember actually we was doing fall workouts, spring workouts, and we was working out in the gym. And I remember my coaches kept saying, what's up, Mr. Big Time D1? And at this time, I have no idea what they're talking about.
Hmm.
What's up, Mr. Big Time D1? And I'm just laughing, like, I hope so. Then afterward, they brought me up and said, hey, man, you got your first offer. And I'm like, from who? They're like, Oklahoma State. I'm like, so mind me, this time I didn't have a phone.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have, all I had was literally, so when people want to call me, they would literally call my coaches, or my family wanted to call me, they would call my coaches. I would get around them, I would call them back. So schools couldn't call me yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they was calling my coaches and they had submitted an offer to me. And I didn't even know until they told me. And that was my very first offer. I was extremely excited. I'm like, I'm going to Oklahoma State. Like, that's it for me. Like, that's the school I'm going to. And they was just like, no, big fella, like, you got a lot more coming. Just be patient. You're a really good player. And so after that, I immediately went home. I called my family. Actually, I'm like, hey, I need a phone. She got me a phone, sent it to me. And the offers just started coming in left and right, man. And by the end of my sophomore year, I had pretty much every college in the world. You know, Missouri, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Mississippi, Ole Miss. I mean, I had them all, man. And really, what made me fall in love with North Carolina is I had the offensive line coach that was at Coffeyville. He ended up going to North Carolina to be a grad assistant.
Mm.
Rest in peace, because he passed away a few years ago. Amazing guy by the name of Jared Powers. He went there, and so he started telling me a lot about the school. But what I respected about him was when I was at Coffeyville, he was one of the guys that was working out with me in the mornings, you know, because I work out in the mornings with the team and by myself at night.
Mm.
That's 3 times a day. And he was one of the guys that did the morning workouts with me because he was trying to lose some weight too.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about North Carolina, and I fell in love with UNC because they was a basketball school as well.
Right.
Remember, my background is in basketball.
Yeah.
And so when I went there and I said, man, I'm going to school here. And a lot of people was not happy about that decision, especially my coaches at Coffeyville. They was like, you making the bad decision. You got all of these other schools that's interested in you. Why would you go there? And for me, it was the academics and the athletics, you know, that made me fall in love with it.
Yeah, speaking of North Carolina, you put up some big numbers in your junior season. You were named All ACC first team, and you were named All American too. And just talk about that journey in North Carolina. Was it like being part of rich history there? A lot of high profile players like Michael Jordan, Lawrence Taylor played there. Shout out to Lawrence Taylor, but I'm a good friend of his too. And but for you, to become a better, and where are you at now to become the better football player that you are now? So what was it like just being part of North Carolina history, and also your junior year was one of your best seasons, in my opinion.
I mean, if you think about it, man, when I went to North Carolina, like you said, the history of Julius Pepper, Lawrence Taylor,
Yep.
you know, Marvin, we had a bunch of guys. They were, at that time, they were printing out defensive linemen. Like it was, and so when I went there, man, and just, you have to understand, man, I'm a kid from St. Louis, Missouri that came from nothing. So when I got to Carolina and started to see some of the finer things in life, like you talking about my first time ever getting on a plane
Yeah.
in my entire life was to go take a visit to Baylor University.
Mm.
And I threw up on the flight, So, and in Coffeyville, we busted, bro. So when I get to Carolina, it's like flights left and right. We flying to football. I'm flying home to see my family. And, I just think, man, I was really living in a dream, at that time. And it was like, but I was still dreaming because I didn't want it to end. And I also saw that I had a brighter future. But when I got there, man, and a coach by the name of Butch Davis, after spring, they ended up firing him, of course, but he sat down, man, and he told me, he said, Sylvester, let me tell you something. He said, if you keep doing what you're doing, he said, in 2 years, you're going to change your family life. He said, you be playing in the NFL. And I just was like, and that was the first time I heard somebody, a coach that had NFL experience, saw a bunch of college players. He said, you have what it takes to become an NFL player.
Wow.
And that just made me say, you know what?
Mhm.
Nothing's going to stop me from reaching that goal. And just being the guy, Carolina, man, because I was, the guy, I was a superstar. I was the first round pick on defense. And, just going into stadiums, man, and have the team game plan against you and being this big time player in the middle is, man, it was surreal, man. And you have to understand, like, every day was a dream for me because I never even imagined being here 2 years ago, 3 years ago from playing my first game in college. I was working in a radiator factory while my teammates and other people in college.
Wow. Yeah. Speaking of that adversity, you obviously you went through a lot of adversity throughout your career, and how do you like? What's it mean to overcome all this adversity and to be here now and obviously having a great NFL career? Just talk about that, overcoming adversity.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, man. We all go through some form of adversity, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, right? I guarantee if I ask you right now, you would say there's something in your life that had the ability to make or break you.
Yeah.
If you think back on your entire life. So nobody is exempt from adversity. Everybody go through problems. The people that we listen to, the people that we look up to, the people that become great leaders, successful entrepreneurs, NFL athletes, NBA, hockey, whatever it may be, are the people that turn the adversity into power. Like you got to choose your heart. Either you can live in that adversity and that's gonna be hard, or you can fight your way out of it and that's gonna be hard. I just chose to fight my way out of it, and
Yeah.
it wasn't easy, but now I benefit from the rewards of that. And so I've been through, just as a man, I've been through just about everything you can go through. When you talk about fatherhood, you talk about relationships. When you talk about both of my parents are deceased. When you talk about losing relationships with my siblings
Mhm.
over money, family over money. When you talk about, being talked negatively about different people because of who I am and what I've accomplished, everything you can go through as a man, I've been through it. However, everything I've ever been through in my life, I've always came on the other side for two reasons. Well, number one, I control my emotions. And number two, I just do the right thing. And I never put myself first. I always look at how is it going to affect the people that care about me.
Yeah.
And so I never went through a situation that I didn't come on the other side of. Now, I've been in situations that has almost broken me,
Mhm.
but I always go back to what made me a good athlete. And the same thing that made me a good athlete, if I'm able to build myself up to become a good athlete, man, I could do anything. And that's the mentality that I carry. And I don't welcome adversity. I know it's a part of life,
Yeah.
but when it comes, I just face it head on. Whatever it is, like, okay, come on, head on, man. I'm not going to avoid it. I'm not going to turn around and go the other way. I'm going to continue on the path that I'm on because I know there's some greatness on the other side of that adversity.
Yeah, well said, and well, that is true, 100% true, and yeah, and for you, what did it mean to be recognized as all ACC first team and also All American?
Oh, man, it was shocking because, again, you talk about, I don't know how many universities it is in the world, but it's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And to become All American, to become first team on ACC, those were goals that I set for myself. And they still seem far fetched though. So to be able to accomplish those things, man, it was like everything just started to fall in place. And I felt I deserved it because I knew the work that I put in. I felt like I deserved to be Senior Bowl MVP. I just felt like I deserved to be a first round draft pick. I feel like I deserved to be a Super Bowl champion. All these things that I've accomplished, I feel like I deserved. but I deserved it because I put the work in.
Mhm. Yeah, and speaking of North Carolina, what do you like about this team? Obviously, transitioning from Mac Brown now to Bill Belichick. Do you like the future that is going with North Carolina football now with Bill Belichick at the helm?
Well, I just say this: I think Belichick is a great coach.
Yeah,
Obviously, he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. I think college sports is different now, man. Because it's just not about how well you can recruit, or even sometimes how well you can coach. And now it's about athletes they want to get paid. So you got 18, 17-year-olds that's not necessarily focused on the next 4 years or even the 10 years they could potentially play in the NFL. They focus on, well, when I sign with you guys, how much is my NIL going to be? And I think that it's hurting college football. And I think that it's not allowing great coaches to be great coaches because you got to do so many other things. So
yeah,
I think, man, we got to give them a chance and see what, the building process look like, because it is a building process. And, so I'm looking forward to next year, because I think this year is hadn't been the year that we all expected, with him at the head. So I'm excited for next year and see how we can see what we can come up with next year.
yeah. And I think North Carolina, you guys have great young talent. It's just a matter of getting the chemistry down. And obviously, it's Bill Belichick's first year as a coach there. So I feel like I feel confident in them. And I think next year should be a much better year for them because obviously you get the full Bill Belichick in the second year and more recruits coming in. So it should be interesting to see what they do. I want to talk about your NFL Combine. You attended the Combine. So talk about the experience at the NFL Combine. You were with a bunch of other players, but just like Jonathan Cooper, Brandon Williams. I can name a few. Kevin Reddick, whole bunch of players. But just talk about what was it like being part of that.
I mean, it was amazing, man, because again, you talking about the top athletes in the world. And
Yeah.
I got a chance to go there, like you said, with some of my former teammates. And I also met a lot of great athletes across college football there too. Cordell Patterson was a junior
Mhm.
college guy. Sheldon Richardson was a St. Louis, Missouri, and a junior college guy. So just, going there, Geno Smith was the guy that I, built the relationship out there, seeing him out there. He was a projected first round pick as well. So just seeing all these different guys and all us just being around and competing, and you build a brotherhood there. And you also get a chance to, because you watch TV and you see these guys on TV, but it's like I get a chance to actually stand next to these guys and physically watch these guys work out, and really, I think the combine is an experience because it's also very long days. It reminds you a lot of the NFL, because when you go to the combine, they put you through everything. Like they literally lay you on a table
Mm.
and go through every part of your body. And they twisting your arms and your legs and what's this knot right here. And because it's an investment for them.
Yeah.
So for them, if I'm going to invest millions of dollars into this athlete, I'm gonna know everything about them.
Mhm.
So they ask you questions about your family. They want to know, what it was like for you in elementary, middle, high school, because they want to understand the person they're about to invest into. And so for me, and it's a tiresome situation because you're there all day. You
Yeah.
got to compete, go to meetings, but I loved it, man, because it give you a taste of what's to come in the NFL.
Uh, and also, obviously, they test you like they they try to get you off guard. And what how did you approach it when they sometimes when they try to get you off guard with the questions?
I control my emotion. I talked
Yeah.
about it earlier. I think because, yeah, you're right. They do ask questions.
Yeah.
They want to see how you respond to, we talked about earlier, adversity.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you respond to criticism? So they're going to ask you questions and say different things that's like that they know may press certain people buttons. And the way you respond is maybe the reason why they do or don't draft you.
Yeah.
So when I got in the room, I got asked questions about my background. I got asked questions about being kicked out of school, my parents being on drugs. I got asked questions about, why was this game? We played Georgia Tech, worst game of my college career. And back at this time, this when Georgia Tech ran their read option,
Mhm.
and I got tired of people diving in my knees every play, and so I had a bad game, and I got criticized heavily at the combine for that. Come to find out that they didn't even grade that film. So when
Mm.
I got to the NFL, and my D-line coach was telling me we didn't even grade the Georgia Tech film because we knew that we couldn't gain anything from that game because they don't run in the NFL. So guys
Yeah.
dive at your knees every day in the read option offense, whatever they call it. we didn't grade it. We just knew it was a bad game for you, and we wanted to see how you react to us questioning you about that game.
Wow. So what was the NFL draft experience like? Getting the phone call from the Denver Broncos in the first round, pick 28 overall, and realizing that you got to your dream, and now and making the NFL and making your family proud. So just talk about the draft experience overall.
So I was actually in New York the day before the draft and trying to get my father to New York, but
Yeah.
with his health issues, I couldn't get him there. So I'm like, you know what? I got to be with him this day. It was one person I wanted to be with, and that was my dad.
Yeah.
So I made a decision the day of the draft to fly back home. So I flew from New York to St. Louis. And on the way home, I put together a party with a hotel and all that stuff, hotel suite, two of them side by side.
Wow.
So when I got to, by the time I got home, got dressed, and got to the party, it's around like pick 4 or 5. And I knew that I was going to be a first round draft pick. I didn't know where. I thought it would be higher than what it ended up being. And so just being in that room, man, and having my family around me, it's a very, very stressful situation, especially once we got to the 20s.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's only 12 picks left. Like, oh my God, And so for me, I was trying to talk to other people and keep my mind busy, but it wasn't really working. And once it got towards the end of the first round, man, I sat there and I never forget. The Dallas Cowboys called my agent and said they was going to take me at the 19th pick.
Mm-hmm.
When the 19th pick came, they traded the pick.
Oh, wow.
Because that year, the defensive tackles was sliding. So they traded the pick. And I remember when the Houston Texans picked DeAndre Hopkins, I started crying because I'm like, man, I might not go first round. As I'm sitting there, my phone started ringing.
Right.
And I'm like, I pick up the phone. I'm like, hello? And it was John Elway.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I bust out in tears.
Wow.
Wrong with him. And the only thing I heard was with the 28th pick, the Denver Broncos select Silver. And in that moment, man, I just had a flashback, an out-of-body experience where I just went through all the things that I had been through in my life, man. And like to be able to make it to this level in life, like it's amazing. And like it's a dream come true. And I'm still dreaming.
Yeah. And speaking of, I'm just curious. When teams say that they're going to draft a player and they don't end up playing drafting, why do they do that? Is there a reason why they do that?
Well, I just think they may have plans to, but so many different things happen on draft night. Things that they may not expect to happen. And, I think that, so it may be a slide, right? For that year, it was a slide on defensive tackles. The first defensive tackle didn't go until pick 11 or 12, which is star that went to Carolina. Then Sheldon went to New York, and then Sharif went to, and I was the fourth rated defensive tackle. And so when you start to see the slide, and so I think teams they may plan to pick a guy, but a guy that may not be available when they pick that they wanted, so they trade back. And I just think that year in particular, I think that when they saw the slide, they thought, well, we can still get our guy, at the 29th pick.
Wow. Yeah. So what was it? Talk about the phone call with John Elway, man, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, and talk about what was that phone call like, and obviously he making for them to believe in you as a player. What was that like for you?
I mean, man, you just talk about my whole life, man. Not really having the support, not really having the love that I felt like I deserved. To get that phone call, in the phone call, they tell you, hey, man, we're excited to have you. We got a great team, expecting great things from you this year. And they pass the phone around to every coach in the room, and, the D-line coach, the head coach. And, it's like you get a feeling of feeling welcome. You know what I'm saying? And for me, the call from Elway was like very touching, but the text message that I got from Peyton Manning was like, this is real. Wow. That was my no, this real. And he had just texted me and welcomed me to the Broncos and just getting there. And I was around so much success. Elway, Vaughn, Peyton, we had Chris Harris, so many. Champ Bailey. We had Quentin Jammer. People sleep on Quentin Jammer.
Yeah.
Was big time player for the Charge. You know, I was around so much leadership and success, guys that had long, successful careers. And just going into that locker room and just seeing the power that we had, and then we had a great year that year, you know, and thought we was gonna win the Super Bowl. We didn't, but you know, things happened. We was able to win it 2 years later. But man, that was just I couldn't have got drafted to a better organization. You know, I got drafted to the situation that God wanted me to be in.
And it worked out well. And like the first year, first couple years I were there, you had John Fox as a head coach, and John Fox, he's a good head coach. And let's talk about that when you transition from, first learning from John Fox, and then obviously Gary Kubiak coming in too. So,
Man, I think Fox was a great coach, man, and I just think that we just fell short of our potential, right? And I think that we just needed something a little bit different, right? And Coach Fox, man, he was, you know, went to the Super Bowl. The next year we fell short versus the Colts in the first round. And I just think that, you know, Elway made a decision. And like I said, I think the difference between him and Kubiak was, man, Kubiak was a player's coach, but he was real big on accountability. He was real big on your job. And so one of the first things he said to us was, I'm going to be honest with you. There is no such thing as all players are treated equally. You know, and what he meant by that was because he broke it down and he said, you know, if you are a Pro Bowler, if you're a guy that's making a bunch of plays, you know, your rope gonna be a little bit longer than the guy that's not as good as a player. So meaning that, you know, you got a little more leeway if you're producing. You know, if not, and that's just reality of life. And I think that him coming and doing, and he allowed us to police ourselves. Like he literally came in and was like, hey, listen, if you do what you're supposed to do, you won't have no problems. And I remember we had a guy that had got into some trouble, missed some meetings, and the guy came in. I'm not gonna say his name because it's a great brother of mine. He came in and the coach told him, he said, I want to suspend you and fine you as much money as I can. He said, but me suspending you, it's gonna hurt the team because of how good of a player you are. He said, so instead of what I'm gonna do is, he said, you gonna play. He said, you better play your butt off. And man, the guy went out there and played his butt off. And that's just one of the things that most coaches would have suspended him. And again, it would have hurt us because we needed him out there. We expected to have him out there. And instead, he was like, no, you going to play and you better play your butt off. And the guy had an amazing game and was a really great player overall anyway. But that's just who he was. He allowed us to be ourselves. He built that brotherhood because every week, every position group on the team, O-line group, D-line group, quarterback group, receiver group, we went and ate dinner wherever we wanted in the city, completely paid for by the organization. Wow. Every week we went to go eat. We ran up $1,000 bill, $2,000 bill. We bring the bill back, they pay for it. And that was every week. So that's why we were so close as a unit, man, because we spent so much time together. And we was literally a family. And when we faced adversity, man, it was like, man, what's up? Whatever you got, we ready.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So talk about the special year when you guys won Super Bowl 50. Obviously, Gary Kubiak as head coach, Peyton Manning at the quarterback. You guys played with TJ Ward, Owen Daniels. You had a whole bunch of your defense was loaded. Obviously, DeMarcus Ware, Juan Miller, you name it. And for you, what was it like being part of that special team and being a part of a great defense like that?
Man, I think, man, when we brought in guys like TJ, Akeem, DeMarcus, Darian Stewart, those guys brought a different edge to the team that we needed. It was almost like we already was good, but they added that swagger to us, right? When you talk about guys that's unapologetically themselves, right? So you get what you get from them, right? And they just so happen to be great players. And I think one of the breaking points for us was when we was playing Tennessee and Chris Harris got cheap shotted. And Akeem talked about this recently, and he found out what happened. And he went out there and got into a fight with the guy for, you know, trying to hurt his brother. And that's what turned us up. Like, even though he got fined, we got penalized, we still won the game. That's what made us like, man, you know what, man? If we stick together like this, nobody could beat us.
Yeah.
But those leaders, man, they created a no-fly zone,
Yep.
and it was like, man, that was the brand of who we are. We ain't going to allow points on defense. We didn't have the best year offensively that year.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good run game. We were successful in the pass game at times, but we just wasn't going to allow people to score on us.
Yeah. Speaking of offense, you played with the late Demaryius Thomas, and rest in peace, underrated receiver, and he helped you guys out win that Super Bowl. And what was it like being his teammate? And what did you learn from Demaryius Thomas?
Man, Demaryius, man, was one of those guys where he will get all the credit in the world for the football player he was.
Yeah.
He was an amazing football player. Pro Bowl, the first one, all of the amazing things, man. But the human being that he was, the man that he was, I feel deserved. He was a Pro Bowl human. He was just if you just look at who he was in the community of Denver, like they loved him in Denver.
Mhm.
Like, I can't remember a community event that I was at that he didn't go to. I can't remember a time that he had a chance to give back, had a chance to support a teammate, had a chance, whatever it was, like he was there to support. He loved the community. He loved his brothers. And, just to, sometimes, you ask God why, right? It's
Yeah.
like, why this person? And, when I went down for the Super Bowl reunion, we was all together, and the love that we have for each other, the support. We talked about him heavily. He was in the building heavily. For them to come back and win that game, and I know that's just a game,
Yeah.
right? But for him to come back and win the game, I feel like it was just his way of saying, hey guys, I'm still here. I'm in the building. And just to have that, because winning the Super Bowl is going to keep us together forever, but also losing the brother is going to keep us together forever, and we will forever keep him in our hearts because the person that he was, man, his legacy got to live on. It has to.
Were you able to go to the ceremony this year when they honored him?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, because of our Super Bowl reunion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's the one. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So for you, after your talk about going into that game against the Panthers, obviously the Panthers were tough that year with Cam Newton and all. But just talk about going into that game, and obviously after the final, the clock buzz. Obviously, we were Super Bowl champions. Just talk about that game overall.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. We knew that we was gonna win the game.
Yeah.
Before we got there because Cam was a heck of a player. But there were weaknesses in that offense that we knew that we could expose. Number one, we could stop the run with our front. So that year they did a lot of max protecting. They ran him a lot. We could stop the run with our front.
Yeah.
And we could play coverage in the back. So that made us a dangerous threat. And one of the other things that we did was they would max protect, right? Which that means you keep them 7 in that protection.
Yeah.
They keep the tight end in, we blitz the safety. If they keep the fullback or the running back in, we blitz the linebacker.
Yeah. Yep.
So that allowed us to create pressure because if my guy that I'm guarding one-on-one is staying in to protect, I'm just gonna blitz him.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that was a complete dominant performance that we had. And Cam was a great player, man. He get a lot of flack for not diving on that ball, but I don't think that he just chose not to dive on the ball. I think that he thought that he could pick it up or whatever the situation may be. But yeah, before we went, we knew we was gonna win before we went into the game, just because the way we prepared, what we saw on tape, and everybody in that organization from top to bottom believed that we was gonna beat that team.
Yeah. And I want to get to two players that you play with that team on defense, DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller. What's it like seeing Von Miller still playing at a high level, now with the Washington Commanders, if I believe, and now obviously DeMarcus Ware, Hall of Famer. But just talk about those two players that made a big impact for that team, and what was it like being their teammates and obviously seeing Von Miller still playing.
Vaughn is a guy that's just naturally athletic. The guy can wake up out the bed without brushing his teeth, put his shoes on, don't lace them up, and go get you 2 sacks. That's just the type of athlete and the type of player that he is. And, when I first got to Denver, he was becoming the guy, and I was close with him. He welcomed all his teammates to his house and everything like that and just building a relationship with him. So to see him still doing what he's doing now, it's not shocking because, if you take away the injury that he had, he may be the all-time sack leader. You know, and DeMarcus was when they signed Ware, his locker was literally right next to mine. They put him right next to me.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of conversation, non-football related, life conversation, and we still close to this day. You know, and I just think, man, this the type of man that he is and the leaders that he is and the father that he is, right? When you talk about, you know, his oldest child is adopted, you know, and all these different things, it's like, man, I got nothing but respect for him and Bond and all of my teammates, man. And I think we're a very unique unit, and I think that's what we've all found ways to thrive outside of the game of football.
Yeah. So before we get to what you do outside of football now, I'm gonna ask you three things. Who is who is the funniest teammate that you play with? Um, which city did which who where was the favorite city to play in? And also, where do you keep your Super Bowl ring?
So the funniest teammate that we had was, I would have to say, Vaughn was probably the funniest guy.
Hmm.
You know, because Vaughn was a he was himself, very full of life, full of joy, always cracking jokes. So I would give him the funniest guy joke. My favorite city, man, was the old Oakland. I love that stadium. You know, I love playing on that dirt, you know, the baseball field. Um, Sad they left, man, because I felt like, you know, that was the culture that was just so rich. But, you know, obviously people move on and business gotta happen. So I understand that part of it. And my Super Bowl ring, I keep it, you know, in the closet in my safe.
Hmm.
I kept it in a safety deposit box, man, for years. And finally I went and go got it. I went to go get it out, and I've had it with me ever since.
And you know, you obviously you wore it to the reunion, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We all did.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so talk about now you're doing a lot of great things off the field after your career, helping out your son play football and coaching other kids, and you're doing a lot of speaking engagement, motivational talk, and also helping other pro athletes too. So talk about what's that been like the transition to being a coach and then also a motivational speaker.
I mean, the transition's been amazing, man. I'm really focused on, I'm at a point in my life where I'm focused on helping others, right? Because I feel like I've been through so much, I've overcame so much that, you know, it would be selfish for me to, you know, not give back and find ways to give back. And so right now I'm really passionate about the youth, you know, the young generation, and I'm real passionate about helping men become the best version of themselves, right? And I feel like, you know, men we will never get the credit we deserve as fathers, as husbands, no matter what it is. And I think so many times, man, you see athletes, they run into this slump because we lose our purpose.
Yep.
And it's about finding that purpose, man, and finding ways to reinvent yourself, because we should never identify as athletes, right? Because athletes is what we do, is not who we are, right? And I think when we could realign ourselves, man, and really chase goals and speaking and has done great things for me, you know, being in corporate, you know, I relate, you know, corporate success and business success to the success I had in the NFL. Because as you know, in order to win the Super Bowl, you got to get 53 players and another 70, 80 support staffs and throughout the building all on one page. And so people don't understand the business side of it. And so that's what I teach in corporate. And that's the message that I deliver is how to win like a champion in business.
Wow. And what's the scouting report on your son?
Oh, man, you talking about 6 foot tall,
What?
220 pounds,
What?
12 year
Wow.
old, left tackle.
Oh my
You know, I
god.
think he got a bright future, man. I think he got a chance to be a really good player. Um, Again, we talk about, man, I won custody of my son 2 years ago now.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean, full time for 2 years, and just him developing into a young man
Yeah.
and becoming a player. And like I said, last year was his first year ever playing.
Hmm.
And he wasn't, but this year he made a huge jump. So I'm looking forward to him to continue to make a jump. And man, he may go into high school, 6'5", 6'4" at the minimum.
Oh my god.
He in seventh now. He still got eighth grade next year.
Man.
And then he got his freshman. So I expect him to continue to grow, man, and do great things.
Well, I'm only 5'6". I wish I was 6 feet.
Yeah.
This is what do you guys be feeding these kids, man? I don't know if you saw Brandon Jacobs' son, man, Quinn Jacobs. Man, this guy's a beast.
And
Oh
he
my
went to
God.
Clemson, right?
Yeah, he's an offensive tackle too.
But he going to Clemson, right?
Clemson. Yep.
Yeah, 6'7". I saw, man. Oh wait,
Wow. I don't know what.
genetics, man, genetics.
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy. Man, I hope we're gonna be following your son. Also, hopefully, we hope for the best. And man, I can't believe it. That's amazing. And just for you, talk about this current Denver Broncos team. Obviously, they're playing great football with Sean Payton and Bo Nix, second year as a quarterback, and he's showing what he can do at the quarterback position. And the Broncos are always known for defense, and they still have one of the top defenses in the league. And let's talk about what excites you for this team, and can they be Super Bowl contenders this year?
Oh, 100%. I think anytime you can play defense at the level they're playing it at, I always say, man, defense come down to two things: coverage and pass rush. If you can rush the passer with four and you could cover one-on-one, man, you're gonna have a successful defense. And I
Yeah.
think that they have all the recipes to be a Super Bowl contending team, right? When you talk about being able to stop the run at an elite level, being able to cover at an elite level, being able to cover tight ends and the running backs out of the backfield at an elite level. When you talk about getting to the quarterback, leading the NFL. Matter of fact, they're on pace to break the record, shatter the record, elite. So you talk about not being able to get scored on, and then on offense, all you got. So essentially, offense, you just don't lose the game,
Mhm.
right? And I think they've been able to do that so far. And obviously, I think they got higher hopes for what the offense can do. And I do think as it get a little bit colder, they will start to become a lot better and informing to themselves, man. But when you talk about, man, the team that they got, to beat what at 10-2 and
Yeah.
to beat the Chiefs, which I predict they was gonna beat the Chiefs because they had an it factor right now. Right. They are learning how to win games that remember I talked about that adversity, overcoming that adversity. The New York Giants game was a game that was full of adversity. To come back and win a game, that type of stuff builds character.
Yeah.
And that character is gonna pay off come December and January when you need it the most.
Yeah, so Broncos are 9-2. You guys are in first place. The Chargers are 7-4. They're in second place. But does this team remind you of your team that you played, the Super Bowl 50 team?
Oh, 100%. I think that they got that swagger. I think that they got that brotherhood. I can see it there. And
Yeah.
again, when you talk about defensively, they have a defense that can go win games for you. Man, they got two cover corners that can cover. They got a defensive line that can get to the quarterback, and they got a linebacker group and a safety that play down here. So, I mean, I I could see it all day, man. It's almost identical to the team that we were.
Hmm.
Obviously they got to finish the job, to be considered one of the greatest defenses of all time. But I think they got a real strong chance.
Yeah, no, talk about before two more things before I'll let you go. Talk about the Super Bowl reunion this year. You guys were able to catch up. What did I mean for you guys and to honor Demaryius Thomas and his parents that were attendance there too, and obviously Gary Kubiak, the whole team was there. So what was that like just to come back all together, reminisce, and celebrate the life and legacy of Demaryius Thomas?
Man, I think what made it feel so good is, man, it's just being around the guys. And when we was around each other, it was like we had practice the next day. Like it was like we never left. And we was even joking that because everybody was in great shape, man. Everybody still work out, take care of themselves. We were joking like we can go out there and beat the Giants right now. You know. But just man, seeing guys just doing better, man. And we had so many conversations about life and fatherhood and relationships and marriages, and to think about the men that we were 10 years ago and who are we are today. It's just like, man, look at what we've been able to accomplish and look at what we're still doing. And so that was the best part about it for me, man. Forget about football, man. How you doing as a father, man?
Yeah, yeah.
How the family doing, how the kids doing, how you doing. And I think just having those conversations and seeing guys that were really doing great in life, man, and just hearing some of the things that guys had going on. I mean, it was just surreal, man. And then, like I said, the energy that Demaryius had in the building was just, man, it just felt so amazing.
And you guys, the Denver Broncos fan base is one of the best in the NFL, and they show support. Win or loss, they show support for you guys, and they bring the passion and the mile high. Obviously, tough. Some it's tough for some teams to play in with the high altitude, but Man, there's something about that stadium where the fans they bring it every game, and it's tough to play there. But for you, before I let you go, I'm just curious, how tough was it for you to after your Denver Broncos? You move from team to team every 1 year each year, then eventually you went back to the Broncos. But how tough is it just to keep moving to team to team?
Well, I wouldn't say it was tough. I would say it was more so, when I left Denver, just being on different teams, I realized how amazing of an organization they were,
Okay.
just top to bottom. So when I left there, I went to Tennessee and had a good year in Tennessee. And the salary cap became a situation. They moved on, left there with the Detroit, which was just a bad move for me, and decided to part ways with Detroit and went on I left Detroit with the Miami, which I loved it. It's part of the reason why I live in Florida now.
Yeah.
And so I finished there. And then I had that next year, I was in camp with the Saints. It didn't work out. I ended up playing for the Chargers that year.
Oh, wow.
Another great year. Loved every moment of it. And I went back home for my final year, which I was planning on retiring. And they gave me a call. And, of course, when I found out it was the Broncos, I'm going home 100%. And so that was kind of like the icing on the cake, man. And after that, I was like, I'm done. I'm full.
Do you see Von Miller maybe doing that before he ends his career, going back to Denver? Or
it would be tough, man, because they have such a great edge, So it would be literally and Washington got some good young edges too. But I would love to see it. I think it's a possibility. Depending on the type of role that he wants. I think that's really what it comes down to. Because I think the guy is such a great player. He can go play for any of the 32 teams. It's just a matter of what role he wants to play, to finish out his career. If he wants the playing time and, to continue to rush the pass, Denver may not be the place for him because those guys are producing really well out there.
Yeah, so before I let you go, would you like to plug anything else on this show?
Nah, man, just really say I appreciate you, giving us this platform to even, talk about our stories in our lives and different things like that. And you keep doing what you're doing, man. And if it's any way I can support you, you let me know.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you again for coming on the show, taking the time, and obviously you have an amazing story, inspiring story. Thank you for sharing it on this platform, and looking forward to seeing your son continue to grow as a football player too. We'll keep in touch, obviously, and yeah, let's meet up in person one time. But yeah, keep up the great work, and man, keep it up with the motivational speaking, coaching, and man. This is a true professional right here. Sly Williams, Super Bowl champion from the Denver Broncos. Played for North Carolina College, man. Overcame a lot of adversity, man. This guy, man, you name it, man. This guy is a tough person. And thank you again for joining. And welcome to the family.
Absolutely, man. Hit me when you get out here.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, bro. All right. Have a good day, man.
Yep. Thank you.